Hello, trans brothers and sisters. It is week number 16, and I am Kelly slash Cole slash Derek. Um, yeah, this week's topic is trans related surgeries, and yeah, I know of two that I'm definitely going to be getting, which would be top surgery and a hysterectomy at some point in time. Um, and bottom surgery would be the third option. And I think I can speak for most, at least most trans guys that I know at this point in time, that bottom surgery just really isn't an option. I mean, it is an option. There are two different bottom surgeries that you can do, but they're just not very, I don't know, one of them, in my opinion, isn't really that aesthetically pleasing. And it, physically, I mean, for the sexual pleasure portion of it, you're pretty much still doing stuff the same. I mean, I don't think you can really penetrate with the one way. But anyway, that's called a metoidioplasty, I believe. And what they do with that is, I love that I jumped right into the bottom surgeries for some reason. Sorry, guys. But what they do with that is and this is just from what I gather, so don't take this for 100% accuracy. But I'm pretty sure that they take when you take testosterone, your clitoris enlarges, and I believe what they do is they detach like the bottom of it or something like that, and they kind of pull it away from your body, which essentially gives you a very, very small penis that I believe can become erect, but I just don't think it would be big enough to penetrate, at least not most people. Some people I think are lucky enough that they can. But from some of the pictures that I've seen, it doesn't really seem like it would do a whole lot. But anyway, I think the whole purpose of doing a metoidioplasty is to reroute the urethra, which is what you go to the bathroom through that area. So essentially, you'd have a fully functional, penis to pee out of, essentially. But I think I want to say that I've heard that goes for right around like 30 grand or something like that. So that's always an option, and I think that's actually one of the more common options for people that actually do get the bottom surgery. As for the other one, it's called a phalloplasty, and basically, from what I gather on that one, is they create a penis out of your existing skin, and they will typically take it out of your less dominant forearm and possibly also one of your thighs, because it most closely resembles the skin of a penis, I guess. So basically, I've read a bunch of different stories on people getting them done, and I'm pretty sure that you have to, or like a lot of people get like electrolysis first on their arm or their leg, so that you don't have a penis that grows hair, because that would really suck. But that's like one of the first steps, and then after that, I think they basically take like a skin graft. I keep looking down at my forearm, but they take a skin graft off of your forearm, and I don't know if they combine it with the one on your thigh, or if they have enough, they probably just do it, but they like roll your skin in a way, and attach it down there. And I think they attach a bunch of the blood vessels and whatever, and then I think they actually let it sit off to the side for a little while where they keep the rest of your junk intact. Well, that kind of grows into itself, or grows into the nerves and stuff like that down there, and then I think you go back in again, and then that's when they actually attach it to your junk down there. And anyway, that one is, you can construct it to be big enough to resemble an actual penis. If they're good enough, they can shape it to look like one, and the sensation, I believe, is there. I don't know how they do that whole part. They must take part of your clit or whatever and put it on the head of the penis. I don't know. I have no idea how that works, and this is totally graphic, and I apologize, but you wanted to know. And I think that they typically take the labia of the vagina to form kind of like a pouch that they can stick prosthetic balls in, pretty much. And then eventually, I think they, like a third surgery, they'd come back in and reroute the urethra so that you can pee out of your new penis. Sexual function-wise with that, I think the only thing they can really do is actually put a pump in there, which I think most people get the pump inside of one of their testicles. Looks like my camera's probably going to die on me before this thing is done. Anyway, they put some kind of a pump in there, and then they put a tube inside of the penis that, when you want to get an erection, you have to manually give yourself one. So you kind of pump it up, and then when you're done, there's like a release valve or something like that. Anyway, long story short, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of surgeries, and I believe it is upwards of, I've heard $50,000 to $100,000, and the success rate I think is like 40% or something like that. It's just not good. You risk losing sensation, and you risk the penis not taking and the skin dying, and then what? So not to scare anybody away from it. I mean, honestly, I would really love to get that eventually. I'm okay with what I have right now, but I will say, on a personal note, that the majority of my fantasies do involve having a penis. So, and I think maybe a lot of you guys can relate to that. But I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun. So if science gets a little bit better, and or medicine or whatever you want to call it gets a little bit more progressed with that, and somehow I win the lottery or something, it's not something I would not consider. I would definitely consider it. As for the other surgeries, hysterectomies, it's a pretty common one, and I think eventually most female to males are, they do recommend that you get a hysterectomy done, because they're basically just parts in there that aren't being used. I mean, they're not functioning. You're not producing eggs. You're not, carrying a child. You don't need those parts, and I think having them in there kind of gives you a greater risk for cancer. So I think they're pretty clean, easy ways to do that. And I think a lot of the time you can find a way to have your insurance cover it too. Probably not mine because mine sucks, but I know a lot of people that have had it covered. So that would be another female to male surgery. And then, of course, the most common one would be a chest surgery. And in that, there are, I think, 2 or 3 different types of surgeries. The 2 that I really know about are, of course, the double incision or double mastectomy, with nipple grafts. So basically they go in, they kind of cut like a couple of U shapes, and they cut out all the tissue. They sew you back up, and they actually resize your areola and your nipple to look like more of a masculine nipple. Anyway, so that's probably the most common one that I've seen. If you do have a smaller chest, there is another procedure called a keyhole, I believe, but I think you have to have like an A cup for that to really be successful. And I think basically all they do there is kind of cut around the nipple and liposuction most of the stuff out of there. But in that case, a lot of people don't like it because they end up having too large of areolas or too large of nipples, a lot of leftover fatty tissue. I mean, sometimes it's really concave, and sometimes it's really uneven. So a lot of the time with that, there's actually a revision that's necessary. But from what I hear, the revisions are typically covered in the total price of the original surgery. So that's kind of cool. But I think personally, I'm probably going to want to go for a double mastectomy. Even though at this point I'd say I'm like a large A, small B. I mean, I really don't have a large chest. I never really have. And taking testosterone has definitely decreased that. And I'm only 4 months in. I would imagine it's going to decrease it even more. But I think the scars suck on a double mastectomy, but if you take care of them, over time, they really don't look that bad. And in my opinion, the scars almost create, a line. I mean, if they do it right, to where your muscles will actually just cover it. I mean, it kind of defines your muscles a little bit, in my opinion. But anyway, that's something that I definitely look forward to doing. I actually just came out to my boss and my HR department at work today. So the reality of getting the top surgery is going to be a lot sooner than I ever thought it would be. So pat on my back there, because my work was the only place that did not know about my transition until today. So in the coming weeks, I'll end up telling my coworkers, and hopefully, sometime, hopefully early next year, I can start planning for my surgery, probably down with Dr. Garamoni. Because I've seen his work. I've seen some of the local guys' work, and I just don't really like it. But anyway, I'm almost at 10 minutes already, and my camera's probably going to die. So that is my Week 16 update, guys. I will see y'all next week. Take care.